Starting off on Route 66 here, Brunch. We see something that we've seen before. Capo and Derek on Reaper and Roadhog between the two. Obviously, a lot of pressure for Anu, who's going to be swapping, I imagine, to a Reinhardt or a Winston very soon. I think it's probably going to be a Winston, given the fact that we see Squala up in the air soon on the Pharah. So he's going to check the boxcar early. He won't find anything because they haven't gone up to it just yet, but they will make that swap soon. Actually, they're just going to hide behind the rock, but Squala sees them early on, and Anhu hasn't even swapped himself yet, so they're just playing with iron. They lose him very early on.
And Squall still looking for an angle, already halfway towards their rocket barrage, but Sinker will get a kill onto Ace of Spades, and as a result, they might just push the opposition away, at the very least for now, looking to build up some distance done on that payload. And it's gonna be up to really just Sinker and Squalla to enable their team, because nobody really should have too much of an easy time to deal with the likes of a Pharah, especially with the help of a Mercy. Of course, the Diva from Hui could make things difficult, but already desuited means that he's gonna potentially go out, but their Neko will fall. Riptire will be popped. Can it find the targets? It will get one onto Hui. And overall, once again, it seems like the attacking side will have a better time.
I mean, both teams obviously playing against each other are also playing against the clock simultaneously. Full send, can they find the kills with Squala in the air uncontested before their front line gets ripped apart by Derek and Capo? And on the other side of things, the Savages, can they kill fast enough before Squala is able to just completely take out everybody on their team? Because again, he's uncontested. So looks like the Savages still pulling time off the clock. They lose that fight, sure. But when they come back in, they'll have Sound Barrier. Capo pretty close to having a Death Blossom and Ace of Spades. We've seen a massive couple of Earth Shatters from him in the past, and maybe he'll have another one here.
And the self-destruct will be popped in and find the target. Sound Barrier was used, and Kayun still going down with it. Now Primal Rage used. Earth Shatter, as said, it's gonna come out, but only really shutting down Anhu. And it's not even gonna matter as kills are still favoring the side of Full Send, and Capo having that Death Blossom isn't really gonna matter too much or amount to much, as the point will be going over for Full Send, looking to have a pretty good time so far with 4 minutes and 22 seconds, and finally some swaps coming in from the defensive side.
And that's been a pretty consistent thing that we've seen from teams trying to take on the Savages when they pull that strat out, is just bring out the Pharah. 9 times out of 10 it's going to work. Sometimes it doesn't, as we saw on the Paul Village before, but now we'll see Squala going ahead, sticking to it. They have not only the Pharah, but they have the Junkrat as well. And speaking of, the tires coming out now from Sinker, coming over the staircase. Oh, and a double kill onto Derek. So now so much room for Squall to work with until the res comes out, and there it is.
But even with the res, is it too little too late, as Ace of Spades is actually going to make it out alive, and Hui with a self-destruct angle finds their Neko, who got the best of Capo there. And with the rest being available for Badger, could be good enough, but Squall now still with the rocket barrage of his own. Gonna find one kill onto that support, and overall the kill feed lights up for this side of Full Send, looking to get an even better time throughout the second phase.
Really taking advantage of the fact that they have so much explosive pressure. And I really mean that in every sense of the word, because, you know, between the Junkrat and the Pharah, they're just pushing out so much AoE as soon as we see Ace of Spades going in. You know, he's always pressured. Same thing with Derek. It's really hard for them to make space for Derek because Sinker and Squall are just focusing so much pressure on the front line right now.
Badger's gonna drop pretty low, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. Both Mercies out of the picture. And can we see the defensive side finally get something done here for the Savages, as it is still going to be Anhu claiming another kill, this time onto the McCree. Derek Hui still alive on that mech. Will finally get desuited, as Squala, as said, is still uncontested, just able to dish out so much damage on the opposition. And overall, still kills in favor, definitely, for Full Send.
Now as they go forward, they're going to have that classic combination of those support ults together between Transcendence, and as well they will have Valkyrie. But something to take note of now as well, Squala did just get killed off by Derek, kind of snuck in there with a quick one, but not going to amount to too much. However, what it will do is allow time and an opportunity for some swaps to be made. And here they go with a triple tank setup, going Diva-less now as they go through this more linear phase of the map and keeping Sinker on that Junkrat. And again, as I say that, the Riptire coming out.
Spotting out potentially the Mercy, who in the end gets the best of Sinker instead. But he still gets one onto Plasma Snake, so it's not quite over just yet. It is a 2-for-1 overall. Self-destruct still used, doesn't find any targets, gets the resuit at the very least. Primal Rage also committed previously, but it will be Kayun going down in the end as their Echo claims that kill. These two gonna happen once again onto Hui, as we will see Anhu just swing it away already at 83% towards that Earth Shatter, and Badger good to go with the Valkyrie, look to potentially keep his team alive long enough so they secure their final checkpoint.
Plasma Snake holding onto that Transcendence. Capo throwing out the stick, does land onto Sinker. They find the opening kill. First blood for Capo as they're now looking for even more. We'll see Capo fall. Now Plasma Snake forced to drop the Transcendence inside of the Graviton. More control now for the attacking side as Anhu with a massive Earth Shatter. They find two with the Fire Strike.
And Ace of Spades still finds that McCree in the end, but overall, it is the attacking side winning out and the team fight. However, the respawns favoring the other side means that's still going to be difficult for them to get that final checkpoint. Iron, though, finding Hui once more. It will be Squall getting Plasma Snake in the end with use of that whole hog. And Iron, look at this, already at 86% towards the next Graviton. We'll see him potentially solidify his last point take with the help of it, as he will go ahead, use it, but not quite successful, or not quite what he was looking for. Maybe contested with the Matrix, and that he didn't quite find the angle. However, Sinker finds the kill with the Deadeye, and as a result, it's still all about those final few kills. Ace of Spades looking to contest, but no, gets pushed away by Anhu, and in the end, they will get that final point with 1 minute and 24 seconds remaining.
We've seen punishment in the past from, you know, Capo and Derek going with that combo of Reaper Roadhog. That's exactly what happened, but this time it was right out of the gates. That's exactly what you want to see from a team that clearly has done their homework. They know exactly what kind of things to expect in this kind of matchup. They know exactly what not to throw out in the opening, because you can get caught off guard, and we've seen that from teams where, you know, they just don't make that adjustment over to the Pharah. They're very slow to, you know, react and make that adaptation to the Pharah to try to counter it out. And again, it's a very clean counter to make. It's a lot easier to play out. We've seen it probably 100% win rate when you do swap over the Pharah against that kind of composition. I think every team has looked good against it, except for, you know, just one instance before. But really, I think that's a good sign that Squall was already on the Pharah. They were easily able to just push through the Savages. Yeah, some time got worn off, but not like what we've seen before from that composition, really kind of taking it to the front line and taking fights until finally some adaptation is made. This time, at least, Full Send was ready for it.
And Darren Echo has been one of the standout Sombra players, so interesting to see him on it once again for that first point. And on the other side, so far, it seems like Capo might actually be sticking to the McCree, so we'll be curious to see whether or not he will indeed go ahead and use it. And considering what he's up against, could potentially find a lot of success against the likes of a Genji or Tracer.
Well, on the Genji, like you were just talking about, we'll see Kalyun on Hanzo. He's going to be, once again, just kind of testing the waters, making sure anybody is not in boxcar at the moment, and he's going to swap over to the Mercy here. Interesting that they decide to bring out the Mercy, especially against the dive, and on top of that, Darren Echo already being on the Sombra as well. Kalyun's going to have a tough time without that extra bit of verticality to try to stay alive on this type of pick.
And we've seen them play this Mercy supporting the likes of McCree before. We'll be curious to note whether or not they can find really a lot more success as so far. It will be the recall for Sada Sinker, unable to get any kills there in the end. However, Derek is going to go pretty low himself, as Squall already at 50% towards the Blade, so if they can prolong this team fight ever so slightly more, they will be looking good in terms of those resources.
They're really going to be relying on Capo a lot here, even just to protect Calhoun. The EMP comes out. Capo still finds a kill. He doesn't need skills to be able to lock things down with the Peacemaker. Finding another one onto Anhu, keeping Calhoun safe as can be as well on top of everything. Can this man do no wrong? Calhoun now under pressure in the backline. Capo and Plasma Snake will turn, help him out, and Sinker is forced back, and that's another kill for Capo.
And with that kill, it's gonna be that much easier for him to potentially secure this first checkpoint for his team, as the Deadeye is gonna hold them off for now. Just look to build up a little bit of distance. Curious to see whether or not that's gonna be to their detriment in the end. However, now Valkyrie is gonna be used pretty early. Post bomb doesn't quite find the target, as we'll see Ace of Spades disengage for now. Anhu dropping pretty low himself, but Kirsten is gonna come out and Capo finds one, but Iron finds a triple off of the self-destruct, and with that, it should be Iron with the quadra kill, and a team fight secured for the side of Full Send.
Excellent display from Full Send. Sinker holding onto a pulse bomb right now. The EMP secured things, but they have a couple options going forward, as we see Sound Barrier ready from Badger as well. Having Full Send's full roster here, making sure everything's going according to plan, and they're looking like an entirely different team against the Savages, who we saw looked pretty good against a lot of teams already, just haven't been able to find a win for themselves. Sinker
gets a double there, and Echo claims another in Plasma Snake, and the reset will be happening here for the offensive side of Savages, who have been seemingly dismantled by Full Send. As you said, definitely looking like a much better team overall, and yes, they did lose out Squala pretty early, but it didn't even matter, as Echo's good to go with another EMP, so if he can spot out Plasma early on in this team fight, could open up big things for his team with 1 minute and 4 seconds remaining here for Savages.
Despite Capo really playing well right now, we see the self-destruct coming out. Hack gonna be denying the barrier, and behind that, it's all the space they need to surge forward. They're finding more and more as time goes on. Derek will find a kill finally, but it's only onto the Sombra. She should be back very quick into the next one, and only one fight remains for the Savages to try to secure Objective A and keep their name in the game, keep their team in the game right now for the first map and into the series. Again, the loser of this series goes home. No playoffs for them.
And just been incredible to see how Full Send is able to still win out those team fights, even though Capo finds those early picks. But now Post Bomb is gonna find Capo instead, as Sinker claims that one. The Resurrect is gonna come through, however, as Kayun managed to stay safe. But now Self-Destruct once again used, will not find the targets this time around for the side of Hui, but Squala finding the kill. Does have the blade drops pretty low though, and as a result can't quite use it. But as Badger's gonna find a kill onto Plasma Snake, it's still an all-out brawl on the point. EMP is gonna be there, and Squala is gonna be able to pull out the blade, looking for those targets, gets one, gets a second, and just like that, Full Send looking to send the Savages into that second map with one loss already.
Overtime ticks, Capo falls, and just like that, Full Send again looking like an entirely different team. We've seen some good looks from the Savages against pretty much every roster, but this is, I think, the first time we've seen them fully just dismantled, and it's by Full Send, the team that hasn't really had a good showing at all yet.
We'll be moving on to a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Hanamura.
We are back at the analysis desk. Just before we said the Savages looked way better, it does seem that we were wrong, Brunch, as Full Send looked way better in the first match. Their DPS line definitely stepped up, and their defense on the first point was impeccable.
Well, while Squall proved once again that he is really good at the Pharah, not quite as successful on the Genji, but overall, they're an echo with the Sombra and the rest of his team just really playing excellently and well prepared against the Savages, because this is what the Savages tried in their first series win, or rather first map win, apologies, versus Renegades, I believe, where they were on Route 66. So well prepared, Full Send, will be able to take it.
So you think they got anti-stratted, so to say?
If you will, yes. That has definitely been helping them.
Now it's a very hard situation for the Savages, as they do not have any more room for any mistakes if they wish to advance further into the playoffs. The next map is going to be Hanamura, and it does seem that Full Send is going to start on defense. Do you think we can see a third map? Is this the Savages end, so to say?
From what we've seen before, they always take it to the third map, but unfortunately for them, they have yet to win a control map. So even if they get a draw at the worst case scenario for them, they will still have to win 2 control maps in that case, and they've been really struggling to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the second map is just another day for the job on the Savages, as they always manage to return it, but control, they always lose, so I don't know what to think anymore. Now, the match seems to be ready. Let's see if Savages can bring it to a third map. Hurix and Brunch, take it away.
Looking at Hanamura now, we've seen a lot of different looks from a lot of different teams. Anna has been played quite a lot, Brunch, and looks like we were going to be seeing Darren Neko bringing it out, as we've seen Anna Zen combo quite a bit. But the tank lineup is what we're getting, and Capo will be playing the Tracer to play along with it. That's something that we've seen a lot from them, is the triple tank, and Sinker gonna get one clipped by Capo already.
Definitely looking much better potentially here for the side of Savages as they open up with the first blood, looking to get more on who's gonna go down, and it seems like they're very close to that first stick already. Nowhere to be found are the Savage, or rather the team of Full Send, as Iron is gonna be going down. Derek does get slept, but it's not really gonna matter as he managed to stay alive for now, somehow through that Bionade. I don't know if it was quite 1 HP, but doesn't really matter, as in the end, Squall should be going down, and it will be Savages looking poised to potentially take it to the third map.
Capo was excellent on Route 66 to start things off. Now he does just the same here for his team. Savages took advantage of it this time, and a little bit of a duel now once again with Sinker, but this time they will have Anhu to help protect, but that's just pulling him off to the side and leaving an opening for the rest of the Savages to get onto the objective.
Oh, but the Blade does not quite secure the first kill. However, as I say that, it will eventually get both Derek and Ace of Spades. Good patience on that one, and with Sinker claiming a kill of his own onto Capo, it will be eventually the side of Full Send having a good defensive hold and not even giving up 1 tick on it too.
Now we'll see Capo making a swap. They're going to be putting him on the Soldier, but that's all they're going to change, so they still don't really have anything to deal with this high ground hold with Badger and Darren Neko up here. Obviously with the dive tanks on Hu and Iron on Winston and Diva, they can go back and forth between, you know, the objective and then up top to support if we see anybody trying to go up there. But if Darren Neko is left unchecked, then he's going to continue this assault alongside Sinker here as well.
As Squall will pick a kill of his own onto Derek, and as a result, in the end, it will be once more Savages pushed back and away. Derek denied from getting closer to that Graviton, and it's gonna just be looking even better for Full Send because they're gonna get closer to that Nano Blade potentially. We've seen in the past Anna's, like Elk, use it on the Genji just so he can get said blade, but swaps will be coming in further here for Savages, as Kiyun is gonna go to the Zenyatta and Plasma Snake to an Anna of his own.
So they're swapping out completely, and I imagine that what they're going to try to do here is they're going to try to go contest high ground, send Darren Neko and Badger onto the point if they can, and then leave Plasma Snake and Cal Yoon up there themselves. So then they have the high ground advantage by just pushing on, and we'll have to see if this gets the job done, because that's exactly the kind of play that they're making right now.
So far, not really too successful when it comes to finding the kills, but it is going to be the Blaze securing one for Squall. Make that a third now as it gets a triple kill. Definitely stepping up his Genji play, but also helped by the rest of his team. The likes of Nano Boost and Ace of Spades and Hui will be sent back to the spawn. And at the very least, we'll see Derek have the Graviton. So he's gonna look to still turn things around for his team as they'll look to charge up the Nano Boost attack visors themselves.
Are you scared?
Still gonna go for that same play, I imagine. Savages need to take advantage of the combos that they have. Graviton Surge is ready. They'll have more control if they want to follow up. A nice first blood onto Sinker, but he'll be back very shortly and with a pulse bomb at that. So I don't know if they're going to be able to really kind of get anything done off of that. Graviton comes down, but it gets eaten up by the defense matrix through the wall.
Iron was lying in wait, ready for his time to shine, and now with the self-destruct being used on both sides, Stack Visor will be used by Capo. Can he find the kills as Hui gets the first one, but Pulse Bomb from Sinker finds two of them in Kayun as well. And as a result, we should see once again the side of Fulson winning it out in the end, but Ace of Spades still looking to retaliate, gets 2 kills, and they will not get the first tick for it either.
I imagine they're going to make some swaps now. Derek actually on a Roadhog. Not the swap I was expecting at all. So no Zarya. They're just going to go with the Diva. Instead, they're going to be looking for some pick potential if they can. And a little bit of, you know, staying power, at least some self-sustain. Kalyun again, they're going to have that advantage. And this time it's a kill onto Darreneko. That's a little bit better than the kill that he got onto Sinker, obviously. So now they'll look to try to take advantage of that. Not going to obviously have much time to do it with. And Darreneko is already back here.
And already we'll see the defensive tanks contest the opposition on that high ground as Capo is going to be popping. Or rather have the Nano Boost on top, but the Nano Boosted Blade could prove to be even stronger as Squala claims 1 kill, looking for more, but overall, it is going to be Sinker alongside the rest of his team getting set kills. And again, nothing obtained for the Savages. Fulson once more proving to be so strong on that second point defense.
They fell quite short, but really, I mean, just that struggle to deal with backline. Darreneko and Badger have been left almost uncontested. Every time they push in, they're just met with so much damage. Sinker, Squala really definitely coming together well right now as well. And Darreneko, with all that spacing, has just been really hammering away on them, getting a lot of healing done as well, and some excellent nano boosts, especially on the Squala to enable those blades.
And again, we'll see them try and contest the high ground potentially, but overall, looking like Badger having that Transcendence will be very difficult for them to secure any kills here. To start things off, Kane still looking for those angles. And overall, just poking and prodding on both sides, not finding any kills for now. Recall, however, will be forced, so Pulse Bomb angle not quite available for Sinker, as he's still going to potentially look for them. And it is going to be in the end. Squala going down as Derek gets the hook. Now going in for the whole hog, pushing the opposition away. And now Kappa with the Nano Boost with attack visor gonna look to do even better. Gets only 1 kill onto Iron. Badger though, coming in with the Transcendence a little bit too late, I'd say, as he will stagger things at the very least, or rather stall it for the rest of his team to regroup. But overall, looking still good for Savages.
Darreneko just unable to get the heal on the Sinker. He was lying and waiting there on the side underneath the stairwell. Luckily though, Squala coming through with a big blade, gonna take down Capo, and now we'll be able to easily 1v1 out this Ana. He'll find that kill as well, and again, full send sends the Savages packing, looking for another opportunity. 50 seconds remain. They took it off their first fight on Objective A and have struggled ever since.
Now that Capo is on the Widowmaker, I'm not quite sure if this is going to pay off. At the very least, if we can find any early picks onto the support lineups or support members of Full Send, could potentially open up big things for his team. They've been struggling overall. They do have the Primal Rage at the ready, and if they can keep Kayun alive, they should be good to go with the Transcendent soon enough, but things not looking too hot for them for now.
Squala again being quite aggressive at the moment. They're just containing them outside of this bridge, right in the archway. Sinker does have the pulse bomb after he already found a kill onto Derek. Could look for an aggressive kill onto the Widowmaker and will find 2 collateral damage onto Plasma Snake.
Sinker again being so lethal with the pulse bombs means that they're gonna be able to clean up house on the point. One tick achieved, 58.1% at that. But it is going to be Full Send looking strong once more this time around on Hanamura. And yes, they did lose that point early, but definitely looked like the better team when it came down to it on that second point.
And we are potentially just that much closer to seeing the Savages sent home and disappointed after they were, they had some decent maps against some of the, really strong teams. And then all of a sudden, Full Send, I mean, they really took it up a notch, I would say, from their previous displays and everything. And it was one of the teams that, I felt like it was kind of unfortunate because we saw, Badger not there on one of the days when they started up on Eichenwald. And, they just had a couple of things that just didn't work out for them initially. And then all of a sudden, things just, now they're all together and everything just starts to click. And it's really right in the nick of time because they, luckily for them, go up against the other team that was 0-3 on the final day. And everything is starting to just really fire off right now. So as they look to attack, they only need to get 58.2% on the objective B, which is certainly capable. I mean, they're certainly capable of that, especially with what we've seen so far. Going the distance, their defenses have looked insane in comparison to what we've seen so far in Group B. And I imagine that if this team does wind up taking this map and does wind up going into the playoffs, it will be a lot different than what we saw in the group.
And so far, an interesting comp really rounding up here for the Savages, something we've seen plenty of for now on other maps with Capo. On the McCree, we'll look to see most likely Kayun alongside him with that damage boost. But if they lose any members early on, Kayun is unable to get into position for a resurrect. Things will still be looking very bad potentially for them, as on the other side, it is a dive comp for Full Send.
Now just taking it all in right now, trying to see exactly what they're up against so that they can determine how they want to go ahead and engage this. As they are the dive comp, they're looking for that opening, that opportunity to jump on someone, find that early advantage. So far, nothing yet, and the adjustments being made by the Savages will prevent that even further as they pull back to the other side of the point. Sinker will fall. Capo, the opening pick. I mean, he over and over again from this guy.
And now going in deep, Squall will be punished as Capo claims a second one. Definitely been lethal on that McCree, looking to push the opposition away, and already got a bit of time wasted on this first point for defensive side. However, their Neko being able to heal up a lot of those tanks quite a bit means that he's going to be getting really close to that Transcendence. Whereas on the other side, unfortunately for Derek, Capo really stole the show, and he's quite far away from that Riptire, further than one might expect, maybe.
The thing is that both of these guys are primarily hit scan players, so to see a Junkrat like this is perhaps unexpected in terms of what Full Send was looking at in their prep for this match. So that might be why they've gotten quite hung up right here, but they're still finding a couple kills, needed to try to sway out Capo as he does die off. Still found the D-Mech onto Iron, but that won't be enough. The only person alive now for the Savages is Plasma Snake, and he's way back at the second point as he was the first to die on that one. And Iron now will go ahead and re-mech. 2 minutes and about 8 seconds, it looks like, will be the time that Full Send take it. And they will allot themselves 4 more minutes to play with. And again, remember, 58.2%. They don't even need a full 2 ticks to be able to take this map and the series with it. And that will give them that playoff berth, that opportunity to go ahead with this new look, the Full Send that is capable of making their dreams happen now.
And already the Riptire might shut down this potential offensive push, as is going to be used there, looking for any angles off of it. Can he find them? As still scouting ahead, still unable to get anything done. Looks for the decent, at the very least, a minor potential victory, but no, it's not even going to happen. And as a result, all he gets is a little bit of time for the rest of his team to still have control over the point, but 5 ultimates at the ready. Almost 6 for full send here.
This still plays out better for full send, I think, because they have sound barrier ready now, and they can engage with it just like they did. Now they have the backup of the Transcendence to kind of fall back on. They found that early first kill into Kalyun. Remember, the Valkyrie requires time now and isn't invulnerable to actually get those reses off, and they shouldn't be able to get much done other than the healing from Kalyun. We'll have to see if he can try to sneak a res in, but unless they get that, I don't see any way for them to stay in this.
Squall did go down, but it is not going to be enough as Kalyun cannot get the resurrect, and as a result, a pulse bomb is going to come out, gets 1 kill onto Derek, and it might just be over right here and now, but they need to secure those kills and get that tick rolling, as already Badger close enough, halfway there to that sound barrier even, but Darren Echo getting the kills. This is a desperate final attempt, potentially coming out of the side of Savages, and it is going to be still Ace of Spades going down. Self-destruct was used, however, it's already 40%, rapidly approaching that final percentage needed. Sinker gets the D-suit. Can he get the kills too? Squall coming back in on that soldier will look to close it out, and it seems like they still find the delay, but not for long enough, and as a result, full send with a surprising, convincing 2-0 win at that will manage to advance into the playoffs.
A dominant 2-0 display that we were not expecting. I know for a fact that I wasn't. I actually thought Savages were, going to be the team to pull away on this one, but man, a different look from Full Send, and in this match that determines who stays and who goes home, we have the answer, but we have another question coming up. Who takes the #1 seed going into the playoffs for Group B? Will it be